View. It's a film from Ireland. The filmmaker is here, and I have the great honor to introduce to you the director, Ciaran.
Thank you very much. It's great to show the first time film in Mannheim. It was a hard film to make, but very rewarding. I'm delighted to get the opportunity to show it to you. And I think we'll have a Q&A afterwards, so I hope you'll stick around and ask plenty of difficult questions. Thank you very much.
Stay with me, stay. Don't run away. Maybe tell me why you chose the police as place happening. You know, why did you choose a police woman to be the one? Why is it that job she's doing and her colleagues, and why is it the police? How come?
Yeah, I think when women become policewomen, they do change because they're exposed to stuff that, I suppose, they see really hard stuff. They see a lot of, say, domestic abuse, fights, they see everything. And it does affect them. I mean, it must affect them, and it makes them harder. This particular character, I felt that she had to be somebody very hard, that she's seen it all, so she could actually cope with, I suppose, the journey that she was going to go on. So I just felt it gave her the backbone she needed to go on that journey.
How did you work that out with? I stuck with the police. I mean, did you stay there? Did you watch them? Did you talk to them? Because it seems to depict a quite realistic picture what's going on there, and how you become what you become after seeing what you saw.
Well, I mean, I would know many policemen, and I would have talked to them. I would have seen how they operated, because they do. I mean, they have a very hard job to do, and you know, it's kind of hard to describe how you should learn it, but it's just it is so hard. And when you see them in operations, so you've got to say it yourself, and like just three big guys down there and they're causing trouble. What does it take to make you walk up to those three guys knowing they could kill you? Okay, and do serious damage to you. So what does it take for your personality to have that in you, to walk up to them and to face up to that? And I think by observing and talking to them, you can see their attitude, that they, in some way, they disassociate fear from their job. So they have no fear. They just, once they're in the uniform, it's like fear is just thrown out the door, and they just go and they can just face up to what they have to face up. If that makes sense.
Was this the starting point for your story, or the starting point you started writing from because you wrote the book?
The starting point would be the idea of that being such a bad place that all she could do was actually donate her organs. That's all she felt was left to her to give to the world. So once I had that idea, which I think is a really, really strong concept, that you're in a place that you're so low that you've nothing else, no other avenue you can go down except kill yourself to donate your organs. So once I had that in mind, I needed to get some sort of really strong character now. When I wrote the script first, the lead was actually a male. So the supporting male, Dennis, was the lead of the film, and Ruth was the supporting female lead. And I actually a couple months before I started shooting it, I just had this thought, what if I just swapped the female character with the male character, and straight away it just changed the whole script and how it felt, in that you have this female character just dropped into a male world, and when the script was written, it was a man in all male situations, and just to put the woman in there, it actually, I think it really added an awful lot more depth to it, and made it perhaps more unique, because obviously there's more films made with male leads doing these sort of things, like, you know, so having the woman in it, it actually just, for me, it just made it so much stronger.
Yeah, there are much more films with male leads. I mean, there were these 3 questions I think developed some time ago, right? If are there 2 women in the film? Do they talk to each other and things like that? So when you ask yourself these questions, mostly male leads. How did you find your actress then? I mean, this happened quite late, so you weren't writing for a specific actress, right? Because you changed the character. The script was ready, and then you swapped male and female lead. So how did you find her? Because she seems so crucial for the film.
I mean, like the lead actress, she carries the film. If she wasn't good, I don't think the film would be. I think the film would be pretty poor if she wasn't good. When I wrote the script for the male, I actually had the male lead in mind. But then when I changed it, we started casting. We got an actress who I thought I was happy with, and then she pulled out 11 days before we shot the film. So it was kind of a mad panic stations. Who are we going to get? What are we going to do? So it was a massive troll went on, and that girl, Keelan is her name, Keelan Dunn, even though it's kind of spelt very weirdly. She'd been on our radar, and when I met her, I was just kind of blown away by her because she just had it. She had one of those faces that there's so much going on in her face, and you can't learn that. You either have that or you don't have it, and she had it. And I mean, I think it's a testament to how she played the film that we really did make the best choice, and it worked out better in the end for us. Maybe it wouldn't have been as good if the other actors had still been in it, but we never know now.
Talking about suicide, and I mean the whole film is taking its way up to the end, right? So how did you discuss this? I don't know. I said it yesterday already. In German, we have this, in the media. You wouldn't emphasize suicides. You wouldn't really talk about it. So I guess also in a film, when you make a film about it, it's a delicate subject to talk about it. How do you talk about it without, hurting the feelings of families or victims? And how do I talk about it in the right way? Did you have any experiences like family or friends? How do you know that you do the right thing, sort of?
Well, thankfully I've nobody close to me, but I think most people in Ireland will know somebody who has been a victim to suicide. I wrote the script, I did some research, I wrote the script, then I would have sent the script out to say, like, the Samaritans. There's a group in Ireland, like an NGO, who monitor all the media for suicide, and the guidelines drawn up, and they read the script. And I also gave it to a group that specialises in actually help groups, just for that scene. So strangely enough, there was nothing changed in that scene as to what I wrote it. She was completely happy with it. The Samaritans did make some changes to the phone calls, and I just took them as they have to be, and I put in the script, because if that's what they want, that's fine by me. The only other thing that they asked us to do, which we did, is that I found it a bit strange myself why they have an issue with this, but they didn't want to see the rope being tied around the radiator. So we actually stayed. They didn't want to see the rope being tied in the radiator. So we actually kept on the wide for that. So you can.
How come? I mean, why?
That's just what they say. From their research, that you shouldn't really show that. So we just kept it on the wide, so we didn't show it. But I just said that's fine. So if that's what they're saying, I'm not going to go against them. So we kind of quality assured it with all the different groups, just to make sure we weren't doing anything wrong. But at the end of the day, it's a story. It's not true, and I think the way it's written, I've tried not to cheat the character. It's her journey, she's went on the journey, and I don't think I could have wrote it much differently, otherwise I think I would have cheated the character.
Do you have questions at that point? So please feel free to ask them, but just wait for the microphone. And Alvaro, I didn't warn him again, so he has to run again. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi. What was your motive to choose the subject of a person suffering and finally killing herself, because obviously it's very important to you?
Well, before I was screenwriting, I used to be a playwright, so I would have always picked drama, hard topics. I did a short film there on child abuse, because obviously Ireland suffered a lot with child abuse, and focusing on a man like when he's in his 40s who suffered when he was a child and how it's affected his relationship with his child. But dark subjects interest me, and I just find them, from a writing perspective, they all kind of class me first and foremost as a writer. I just find it really interesting to explore something and from start to finish and follow a journey with that person, and that's what I really enjoy. My wife is always telling me to write happy stuff, and we do have a love story, but they're very hard characters, but it is a love story and it does end well, so I hope that might come about, but it's still in all, I have other stuff and they're quite dark as well, and for me, in Ireland we're stuck here just at the edge of Europe, and a lot of Irish look towards America, but I definitely look towards Europe and European filmmaking, and Europe is very much into real drama about real people, and people like Ken Loach and Michael Haneke and all these fantastic directors, for me they're terrific, and that's what inspires me to do the drama rather than the lightweight stuff. Sorry.
How hard is it to make a film like this in Ireland today, after the death of the Celtic Tiger and the economic boom and all that's long gone, and I can't remember what exactly they did to the film funding, but they were going to do away with it or something. How hard was it to make this particular film that's, not something that people would go into a mainstream cinema to see?
I'm happy to relate that our Celtic Tiger is getting a few new paws, so it's starting to crawl back a bit. We just got an extra 2 million for our film fund in Ireland, but it was cut quite a lot. It was cut something like 20 million down to about 11 or 10. This sort of film is impossible to make in Ireland. It was turned down twice for production funding. In Ireland, basically the Irish Film Board funds films. It was turned down twice, once for production funding, and because they said the film, the subject matter, the ending, and there's no way you can hold an audience. So then we did the rough cut, gave them the rough cut. We gave us money to finish it, and they wouldn't do that either. So we had a budget of 120 grand. We used that effectively on the production. So we had no money for our post, and we were very lucky with the people who came aboard. Lenny Abrams Film Room, the post house did the post for us, and a lot of people. We got a lot of goodwill for the film, but the question, this sort of film is impossible to make in Ireland unless you got a private investor, and we had one private investor who gave us 100 grand. We just picked up 20 grand ourselves. So, but just because people say don't make it, it's not a reason not to.
Please.
Hello. I wonder, the people in the film, there are only short dialogues. They don't know what to say to Ruth. I find them so helpless. Is this something that you want to work out?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, a lot of this comes down to my style as well. When I would write a huge amount of dialogue, and then through all the redrafts, cut out the dialogue. In that film, there's 70 scenes and there's 35 scenes with no dialogue. And the other thing was that film is about Ruth. Okay, she's in every scene. We're observing a scene. Anything outside that, you don't see it. You don't know what those guards are doing when she's not with them.
Yeah.
So if you were to put lots of dialogue with them at different points, then it's kind of taken away from her. Now, I have to say, both the males haven't seen this film, and obviously we would have done all the usual cuts this sort of way, and so I don't know what they're going to say when they see it, because they were cut out of it quite a lot.
Okay.
And that film was, when we assembled it, was 155 minutes, and it's now 93, so we cut over an hour out of that film. Like, you know, so I don't know what they're going to say, but when we were editing, the mantra was, what's the film about? It's about Ruth. And that's
also where we talked about the actress. We talked about that yesterday too. That like half of the film is happening in her face, right? So that the actress is absolutely crucial to it. So if she expresses everything within her face, and you have all these close-ups. Maybe we could talk a bit. You just mentioned that's your style. We have all these colors, brown and dark green, and quite obvious. You know, it's like dark. We have these tunnels all the time. So we are already kind of leaving this world in a way. Maybe you can, because it's your first. I didn't mention it. I think because it's your first feature film. You wrote a screenplay for Park before we saw here 4 years ago?
2011.
Yeah. 2011. And I don't know, anyone of you had seen Parked? And this is not your first feature now, so how did you, how did you work it out?
Yeah, you know, I'm an honest person. I always tell the truth. You know, I knew, because I'm a writer, I knew the subject matter very well. I knew what I wanted. So I obviously looked at a lot of films, and a film called Tyrannosaur by Paddy Considine, and it's kind of green colour, like, you know, and it's beautiful, like, you know, and I kind of said, well, listen, that's what I want. So when I was talking to the colourist, I says, look at Tyrannosaur, and he looked at Tyrannosaur, because I mean, like, we had fantastic colours doing it, but I mean, because of the situation, I mean, he did the first pass on it, and I got a day with him, like, and that's what I got to fix it up, because I mean, otherwise it would never have been done, like, you know. But because he's such a good guy, you have to trust him. But like, getting that one film in particular that really appealed to me, and I thought it just fitted just well, and I think it does, like, you know. So that's basically how I did it. But it's just from when I look at films and I see a colour, then I try and log it in my mind to say, okay, that colour would look good for a sad film or a happy film or whatever, like, you know. So it's like Ken Loach's film Jimmy's Home. There's a dance scene in that, and it's dark and grey, and light coming in the windows, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I have that colour locked away somewhere, and I said, I'm going to replicate that, because in film there is nothing original. Everything has been done. It's just trying to do something different. Like, for example, if you notice, say, on the mantelpiece, everybody has pictures of films, and they come along, they crest them, because we want to show like what they're feeling, like, you know. So I just said, let's take the pictures out. Okay, and so when the mother-in-law comes in, she even presses an empty picture. So I mean, you didn't actually need the photograph because it was there. So it's just a slightly different take on something that's used the whole time. Instead, it's not original. It's just trying to do it in some different way.
Then we do that the fourth time, and I asked them to ask their questions, because we are going to get bored otherwise with our like same questions and answer. We are never bored. No, yeah, that's true. So the talk will be held in English, and if you afterwards want to ask your questions in German, or in between ask your questions or make your remarks in German, then you're invited to do so, and I will translate, and I will also try to translate Ciaran's answer. Yes. And
I'll try and talk slow.
Yeah, I think about a new question, but tell me something about. Well, no, I can't come up with new questions. I think. How did you come up with? We spent the last days together, and you're such a funny guy. So how come this topic?
That's a good question. I am a very happy person. My wife says it's kind of like all the bad things, I write them. So by writing them, I don't experience them. I think that
Therapeutic.
yeah, and I think that's kind of what. And I mean, I love European cinema, and I love tackling topics which are interesting and hard to tackle, because I think if you can pull them off, for me it's far more beneficial personally, rather than the typical American kind of drivel sort of film, where in the first 3 minutes they tell you everything about the film and leave nothing to the audience, because the audience, I always find, are very bright, very intelligent, and I think as a filmmaker we should try and give them the opportunity to experience the film properly as it should be. So don't tell them anything, just start them off and drip feed, kind of give little bits and pieces, snippets, and so you can fill in the gaps, and that's the sort of side that I like, as compared to where you're given everything at the start, you know everything, and there's no real challenge to you as an audience member.
So then what do you, I mean, do you tell fragments of your story, let's say, or fragments of the backstory in the film? How much of it is it also that what the actors get, or do they get more?
No, I think it's important that the actor knows the whole story. So my own opinion of actors, you have two types of actors. You have actors who are acting and actors who aren't acting. And I think the really good actors are the ones that aren't acting. So when they get the story, they metamorphose. Is that a word? They become the character. So when they're doing it, it becomes completely real, and the audience will see that and understand that. Because if somebody's just acting, I think we can tell. You know, I can always tell, and I think the public can tell. Where if they're not acting, they are that character. That just gives for much more better experience.
But so how does that work when you cast actors? I mean, because they have to. I mean, they do one scene and then you kind of they act. What else should they do, right? So how do you know, or how do you see that they have this thing? I mean, and now we can talk about your lead actress maybe too.
Well, I mean, basically, if a really good actor will get it, and they will bring the nuances to the character and to the story. So my directing style is, I would say, meet them, you talk about it. I only did like probably half a day rehearsals with the main actress for that film, but she got it. And I wouldn't be on set saying, well, listen, just drop your hand in this way or drop your hand that way, that's not right. You give it the story to them, and then you want them just to bring what they bring to the table and expand it all. And it goes for, say, the key crew, for example, with the director of photography, where you're saying, this is what I'd like. So when you say that to him, you want him to make it even better. And that's the key to it. If you get these really good, talented people who can give so much to it, it just makes it so much better.
You're mentioning the DOP, the cameraman. How did you work with him, and how did he work with the actors? We have many close shots to the faces, which also means that we have many scenes without dialogue, which also means that the actress has to express a lot of feelings and things and thoughts with her face, which kind of is maybe more difficult than to just say something, right, and to put it into words. So it's two different things. It's one about the acting of the lead actress, and one is about the DOP, how you would work on that style. If this was clear from the beginning that you would work like that, or if you just thought of other shots and during shooting it came out that that's the way to go.
Well, I mean, I think it's really important when you're making a film that you make the picture look really, really interesting. So I was talking to Fernando down there, another very good filmmaker, and I call it like dirtying the image. So when you have the frame there, you you do it in such a way that it makes it interesting to the eye, because film is very visual as well as oral, but it's very, very visual, and if you don't make the picture interesting, it doesn't work as well. So if you can make that picture, so you can put the camera still, and it's just a frame, and it's just still, and the camera isn't moving, and if you make that picture interesting enough, the audience, not just looking at the lead actors, you'll start looking around and seeing what's going around in the whole environment, and also the framing of it. So you're shooting through doors or at different angles where you've cut off part of the frame, like, you know. I just think it's pleasing to the eye, and if it's pleasing to the eye, then you're kind of pulled into that.
Talking about how the images are, I would like to also talk about the places where you shot the film. I mean, we have this police station, we have a lot of interiors, we have the interiors in certain colors, like green, brownish colors, and but how did you pick the exteriors? What was your way there?
Yeah, again, I mean, I love beautiful things, so I'd go around and pick areas which are really interesting and pleasing to the eye. We shot, it was 18 days we shot the film in. 5 days, which is almost a third of the film, was in that house. So, you know, when you're 5 days in a house, trying to make it look interesting through the whole film, it is quite difficult. Like, you know, but then when you get a good DOP, they can do that. And it's just through the angle, dirtying the image, like, you know, the exteriors. I mean, Dublin's a beautiful place. There's lots of, in fact, every city is generally pretty beautiful. There's a fantastic park down here near the hotel I'm staying, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And you can see yourself shooting something in that, and I'm just so attracted to the eye. So I picked, like, when she's running in the park, that's our biggest park in Dublin. And I would have run there. Maybe I can tell, but I do run sometimes. And when I run, just running through the path and the trees, and it's so beautiful. I mean, like, you know, it really does add to it. It gives the film a character. Like, you know, and locations can do that if you pick the right ones.
And were you running here in Mannheim? We talked about that.
I did bring my runners and my shorts, but people kept buying me drink. So I actually never got to run. So, but I used the sauna quite a lot to clear myself. But no, I wish I had run, but I didn't. Maybe tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning,
maybe
yes.
Tomorrow morning.
Maybe you have recommendations later where to run, because I was asked, but as far as I live in Munich, I couldn't really give. I said Luisenpark, but I wasn't sure if this is the place to. No, people shaking their heads. So later on, we have we have your recommendations for Ciaran running tomorrow morning. No drinks tonight, but no karaoke running tomorrow morning. Yes, no, but talking about the interior of the house and the exterior of the places, you wanted to, because the colors stay the same, right? So you wanted the correspondence, you wanted a conflict. What did you want to? Because everything, I think, everything you show is kind of her in a world too, right? So
Yes. I mean, it was very much kind of, we put a very green tint on the whole film. But I said this before, and I don't mind admitting, a lot of stuff in film is not original. Everything's been done already. You just have to try and find some new way of doing it. And there's a film called Tyrannosaur, made with Paddy Considine, a UK actor, with some Irish links somewhere, because Paddy Considine is...
It's a very good, recommendable film. I've seen, yes.
You are so hard talking, I don't
Sorry,
understand.
okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay, I'll try.
the film is called Tyrannosaurus, and I happen to have seen it too, and it's a very good film.
Yeah. And he put this green kind of colour on it, so it was kind of cold and dark. Okay, I'm doing okay. And, you know, when you see something like that, if that looks so good, why would I try and do something different if that just works so well? And for example, I get before the example of, on the mantelpiece you have the photograph frames and all the pictures are gone. So in so many films, people take up a photograph frame and they feel it and they look and they see the picture, and this is meant to show. So just something different. Just take the picture out. And when the mother-in-law was there, Monica, she picked it up. There was no picture in it. She was feeling the picture, so she knew what it meant, even though there's no picture in it. So that's taking something that's used the whole time and just making it slightly different.
Yes. Do you have questions at that point? Would you like to take part in the discussion? Wow, 2.
We like questions.
Hi. Really like the movie, well cast, really awesome visuals, aesthetics, etc. I was just wondering, I would be interested to know who is your biggest influence, or not influence, who is your favorite film director in terms of aesthetics, color palettes, visuals, etc.
I have 2 I really like. I love Ken Loach. Ken Loach he's an English director, and it's all social issues. Social issues that he tackles, and that really interests me. But my favourite would be Michael Haneke. I just think Michael Haneke is so good, and he's very much, he leaves the camera very still and just lets the actor do their thing, and I really love that. So there's some influence that I would take. I often use the example from Michael Haneke. He's got one called Benny's Video, and if anybody's seen it, it is a dark
One
film.
of his very early films. Is it his first film or second film? Something his first film. Yes. Benny's Video von Michael Haneke.
Yeah. And I'll just describe the scene. This guy is in a video shop and there's a girl looking, and then she leaves. The second time he's in the video shop and the girl is looking in the window and the camera's inside the shop. He goes out, he walks past her, then he comes back, he talks to her, and the next cut is he's bringing her into his apartment, and he eventually kills her there. So I would have had arguments with people where you're saying you didn't need to see or hear what he said to that girl to bring her back to the apartment. That is irrelevant to the story, where a lot of, say, producer style people and stuff, they would say, no, we need to know what he said, otherwise the audience won't get it. But the audience didn't need to get it. So that's exactly.
Yeah, better.
He had the question like me, so I give the compliment. Thank you for the courageous end. Das mutige Ende. Ich fand das fantastisch. Ich habe mich gefreut darüber.
I like the courageous. You say that the ending.
Yeah, I mean, the ending was an issue because we went for funding twice for this film and we were turned down twice.
Funding-Förderung, ja? Also vom Staat ist die Förderung dann in der Regel.
And the first time we went for production funding, and they said we couldn't have it because of the topic and because of the ending, and they said this film would never hold an audience. Okay, so we went back for completion funding with a rough cut, and I said we can hold the audience to this film, but they still didn't fund it. So I was not willing to change the end because for me that would have cheated Ruth, the main character, because it was her journey and there was only one way it was going to finish, and if you didn't do it that way, why bother?
Like talking about the end and like the sensitive topic, suicide. Did you talk to people before, kind of to be safe in a way, not hurting people's feelings, not hurting victims or victims' families' feelings?
Yeah, I went through three different people. The Samaritans read the script, and they suggested changes for the phone calls, so I just accepted them and put them into the script. I went to an organisation who holds like the group therapy, and they read it, and I was very proud that they didn't suggest any changes. So I felt kind of good about that. And the third one was there's an organisation in Ireland who monitor all the press about in relation to suicide, and they have guidelines. And the only suggestion they said was in relation to when she ties the rope around the radiator, you shouldn't show that. So we kept on the wide shot well back in the ward, so we didn't really see her fully tying it, but that was the only thing they suggested. So I was kind of happy when the three they were happy with it, that I was happy to put it out.
Fernando, you have a question? Fernando has a question. There's one too. Okay.
Oh, sorry. So you are Irish, and she, before, in the middle of a film, she goes to the church because she wants to get the benediction from her father, and she says a few minutes before that she wants to pay back. Well, is this for you on the personal level? Is this about responsibility? Is this about sin? Is this a religious movie, or can this film be read without any religious background, or must this be integrated in your own creation of a film on a longer level? It's not on a level about until 5 or 6 months or the film was shot.
I suppose the first thing you have to remember is that Ireland is a Catholic country. We've had a lot of problems with the church, with child abuse, etc. So all the young people in Ireland don't go to Mass. Okay, so the older people, they still go. Because obviously as you get nearer to death, you want to kind of feel maybe there is something to look forward to. But they don't go. But religion is the word psyche, it's in our psyche. So this film, if you saw this film the second time and the third time, you will get stuff you didn't see the last time. So in relation to the church, there's actually 4 scenes. So the first, she comes into the hallway, the next she comes to the door and looks in, the next she's inside the church, and the final time is she's asking for her to be blessed. So it's kind of like my attempt to show that in some ways she's going towards her ultimate decision. She's kind of reconnecting back with the church.
No, Fernando.
Well, I know you in these few days. I became to know him, and I know he has a lot of humor. And I found that there's like an absurd kind of humor, or I found it in the last shot when she with the radiator, and I wanted to know why that decision, why she's not hanging, and you show that even the radiator went down and whatever, and it's like I found it like with a kind of comedy. I'm sorry, maybe, but I found a little touch of humor, or maybe absurd in that, and I wanted to know why and all that.
Maybe I would add something, because there's a second scene we talked about. You were in the cinema, I think, in Heidelberg the first time, and you said, there were no laughs because there's one funny thing in a film with a coffin, and no one was laughing. So maybe you can talk about these two.
Well, it's an easy question to answer, Fernando. Unlike some of the questions I get. My philosophy in life is that life is for living, and every day you live is a bonus. So if she hung there, okay, because what she was doing was she felt she had nothing else to give but to take her life so she could donate her organs to help some other people, and that was going to make up for her and what she felt, the bad things that she had done. So if she had hung off the rope, they could have pulled her back in. They could have, she might have been dead, but they could have harvested her organs. So when she went out the window with the radiator, the organs could not be harvested. So she failed. So I want to show the futility of suicide. That she thought she was doing right, she's going to do this, but in effect, it was a waste. And that's why I had it. In relation to the coffin. I have to say, she got into that coffin at least 10 times. Now, I would not get into a coffin, I have to say, there's no way. But she got in, and it is a bit of black humour. Like, you know, it's kind of think that, especially with the lines, I mean, I don't say I'm a fantastic writer, they're great lines, but there's something humorous about it, because nobody's been in a coffin. Nobody knows what it's like to lie in a coffin. And they'll say, well, it's actually quite comfortable. You know, and that's kind of just wanted to, that she might have been dark, she was in a very bad place, but yet she still had this extra dimension where she had this other stuff going on in her head.
Yes. Anyone ever been in a coffin? No. No, you still have questions or, well, remarks to make, comments? Not still, I mean, you have questions. There are plenty.
What is your next project?
That's the final question, kind of.
We can answer it now. My wife always gives out to me that I write such depressing stuff. I did a short film on child abuse and whatever. So she says, make something happy. So it's a love story. Now the characters are they have had a hard life, but it is a love story, and they do get together in the end. So it's more happy.
Love story with a happy ending after a hard life, of course. Yeah. Okay. So well, I wish you all a love story with a happy ending and a safe way home. Thank you. Thank you, Ciaran. And thanks, Seth. This was our last conversation here at the festival. You're leaving tomorrow.